In the last lesson, we talked about strings, which are textual data types. Besides strings, we also have numbers. Numbers are used quite often in programming to keep score in games, represent data in visualizations, store information in web applications, and so on. You can add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers in Python. Press Ctrl J, you will see the console. Inside console, write Python. Click on Terminal and then write Python. Now you're in Python shell. By the way, integers are numbers without decimal point. So 2 plus 3. 2 is an integer number. Plus is indicating that we are adding. 3 is 3. So as you might guess, 2 plus 3 is 5. We can subtract two numbers or two integers, like 3 minus 2 equals 1. We can multiply by using asterisk sign. Asterisk sign in Python indicates multiplication. 3 times 1 is 3. And 3 / by 2 is dividing. We use / to divide two numbers in Python. Now if you hit enter, you will see that 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. We can use two asterisk sign to represent exponents in Python. For example, 2 to the power of 4, you will see that the 16 will be printed. Also, we have something called ordering in Python. Python supports the order of operations too. What do I mean? Consider this example. If we have 2 plus 3 times 2. So you know that the multiplication will be first and addition and subtraction will be at the end. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now, if I press the enter, you will see that the result is 8. However, if I put parentheses between 2 and 3, like 2 plus 3, and then I will close the parentheses, and then I will multiply this by 2, the result will be different. So in this case, 2 plus 3 first will be evaluated, and then the evaluated value will multiply by 2. In this case, 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Now if I run this, you will see that the 10 being printed. Now we know what are integers, and we know how to deal adding, subtracting, multiplying, raising to the power of a number. Now it's time to jump into another data type, which is called float. What's a float? Python calls any number with a decimal point a float. So numbers with a decimal point are floats. This term is used in most programming languages, and also it refers to the fact that a decimal point can appear at any position in numbers. For example, if I have 0.1, it's a float. I can add floats. 0.1 plus 0.1 will be 0.2. 0.2 plus 0.2 will be 0.4. And 2 times 0.1, 2 times 0.1 will be 0.2. However, you should be aware that you can sometimes get an arbitrary number of decimal places in your answer. What do I mean? Let's experiment what I said. 0.2 plus 0.1. If I press enter, you will see 0. Blah 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 4. y 0.2 plus 0.1 result in this gobbledygook, but it happens in all programming languages. And this is a little of concern. Python tries to find a way to represent the result as precisely as possible, which is sometimes difficult given how computers have to represent numbers internally. Just ignore these extra decimal places. For now, we will learn the ways to deal with extra places in the second module. I mean the second part of this course, which are projects that we will build after finishing the fundamentals. Now we learn floats and we learned integers. Let's combine these two ideas together. So keep in mind that if you multiply two integers, not two integers, everything that you divide by a number, you will get a float. For example, 2 divides by 2 will be 1.0. So we talked that the numbers with decimal point is called float. So every number, let's say 0.2 is a float. If we divide float with a integer number, the result will be a float. Also, if you add an integer with a float, the result will be a float. Always. 1 plus 1.3, the result will be 2.3. Always it's the same behavior that you will see. Integers plus floats will be floats. Integers times floats will be floats. Integers divide by integers will be floats. That's it. The next thing that we are going to study is using underscore in numbers. By the way, if you're in Python shell and you want to quit, you can press Ctrl Z and then press enter. You will be back in terminal. Now press Ctrl J and we are going to use the environment of Visual Studio Code. If I have a variable called universe age equals 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 14 billion years is the age of universe. If I print this universe age, you will see that the 14 billion will be printed. But if you see this number, it's really hard to read this. In Python, you can use underscores to separate digits and numbers to make them more readable. In this case, I can separate every 3 zeros like this. Now it's much more readable. Now if I run this program, there's no difference. So either you can choose this way or the previous way. That's all up to you. But I prefer personally this way because it's much better if you're dealing with big numbers. The next thing that I'm going to mention is in Python we have something called multiple assignment. You can assign values more than one variable using just a single line of code like this. So say we have 3 variables, x, y, z equals 1, 2, 3. So what I'm doing here is I'm assigning x with 1, y with 2, and z with 3. I can print all of them. Let's say print x, print y. I have a bug in here, and print z, like this. In here, you can use multiple assignment to assign values using just a single line of code. How cool is that? The next thing that we are going to talk about is constants. A constant is just a variable whose value stays the same throughout the life of a program. Python programmers use all capital letters to indicate that a variable should be treated as a constant. For example, if I have a variable called age equals 10, and we have another variable called age equals 10. As you might guess, that the first variable is a regular variable, a normal variable. But the second one, the color of second one is different from the first variable. Why? If you hover over to the second variable, then you can see that it's a constant variable. So constant variable, its value stays the same throughout the life of a program. The last thing, and probably one of the important things that I should tell you, is using comments. So what are comments? Comments are an extremely useful feature in most programming languages. Everything you've written in your programs so far is Python code. As your programs become longer and longer and more complicated, you should add notes within your programs that describes the overall approach to the problem you are solving. A comment allows you to write notes in your spoken language. For example, in the constant variable, I can add a comment using hashtag. Shift with 3 will bring the hashtag. Let's say I write this is a constant variable. This is a constant variable. Python just ignores everything after hashtag. So this is not a Python code. It's written for me and you, for humans, for readability. As an extra information, in the extensions, I installed better comments. So you can download better comments to add better comments. In here, in numbers, if I put a exclamation mark, you can see that the color of this comment will be red. So how is it possible? I told you. You can use better comments. Just in here, search for better comments. You will see that the better comments will be. And okay, we studied a lot today and we covered a lot. As always, keep practicing because they are the fundamentals and they are the most important thing. As we keep going, the things will get more difficult and we will build projects. So without the knowledge of fundamentals, we cannot build projects. So I hope you enjoyed from this lesson. I will see you tomorrow.